Listen, I could get some resistance here because I was once every 5 to 7 days. I was a high volume trainer, meaning I did 20 plus sets per body part.
Let's talk a bit about training, like just, the frequency and the sets. Like, how often should you train a body part per week? And it doesn't have to be every seven. Like, should it be every third day, fourth day, twice every 8 days? Should it be a bro split? Like, should you train biceps once every 7 days, once every five? Could you give us an idea of like 2 or 3 times a week, or what do you think is ideal for most people? Like the intermediate, not a pro bodybuilder, but somebody like, some experience, but not a professional.
Listen, I could get some resistance here because I was once every 5 to 7 days. I was a high volume trainer, meaning I did 20 plus sets per body part. Little extreme. Training with Ronnie Coleman, he liked to do 9 or 12 sets per body part. So he did body parts twice a week. Phil Heath did the same thing. I was once every 5 to 7 days. I truly believe that a muscle needs 72 hours rest before you train it again. Would you argue with that?
No, I mean, so you just said, well, you said 72 hours. So to me, that's 3 days. So that would be doing, say, chest every 4 days. That would be twice every 8. And the science would say 10 to 20 hard sets per week. So if you chose to do it all in the one day, then obviously you're going to have to get more volume to get enough volume for growth. So you're doing the 20 sets, Ronnie's doing 9. So he's doing 9 twice a week. That's like 18. And you're doing it every 5 to 7 days. Now, that's certainly one way to do it. Do you think that for the average, and so I'm asking for not a professional bodybuilder, but someone you would train, a 25-year-old, like most people watching, probably in their 20s, would you think it would be better to do once every 7 days or twice every 8, more like Ronnie did? Or what do you think?
Once a week for sure. They're not enhanced. They're not looking at, I want my arms to get better. So, okay, let's work on that body part twice a week. Like, you're talking about a general person that just wants to be in shape once every 7 days for sure, or whatever.
And so how many body parts would they split their body into? Like, would it be 5 different? Based on that, it sounds like they're going to have more body parts. Like I personally, and I only care about bike racing now, to be honest. I train my whole body 3 times a week. I go in, I'm frigging around. I'm not looking to put on a bunch of size. I'm really doing the cardio as my focus, but the younger guy probably trying to build muscle once a week, roughly.
I think, like I do back one day, legs one day. I do shoulders and triceps. I do chest and biceps. I do on chest day. I mean, it's always been the kind of stuff. See, I train 2 days on, 1 day off. Okay. That's the cycle that I run now. And I've found that was the best. 2 days of training for me with the volume is enough before I need a day off, especially if I was training twice a day. Think about that. That's 4 workouts over 2 days. I was dead. Because
Absolutely.
I was doing for the bigger body parts, Greg, I would do 40 sets for back and legs. Like I would do 25 for each, so I was killing it on those days.
And I got to know, how hard are these sets? Are you familiar with reps in reserve, or like how close to failure are you going? Are you holding back, or are you like, I'm going to failure on all these sets? Like, are you pushing hard on each set, or just like, are they kind of like warm-up sets?
Listen, I always train solo. So I would always do what I call a feel sets. I hate to say in warm up because, it was more to just get my mind muscle
hard warm ups, or
right.
Harder warm up sets.
Yeah. Mind to muscle connection was important for me. Right. So I would kind of get in there. I would focus on 8 to 12 repetitions with the broad range, but I could do more reps, but I was still getting a good burn when I got to 12. I would always choose the weight. And of course that was kind of how it always started, to be honest. I mean, Chris taught me everything's 10 to 12. And that's kind of what I stay with. But listen, it was the rest time is what was efficient for me. It was 45 to 60 seconds rest between every set, which when you're doing, 405 or 500 pound squats, like, listen, I was on the floor. I mean, doing T-bar rows with, 8 to 10 plates, bent barbell rows of deadlifts, 400 or 500 pounds. Like, it was hard to breathe. And especially when I was 290, to this day, like I still train with very short rest periods. The volume is not as much, not eating, recovering as much, but I'm still training. Like right now, my schedule is still the 2 on 1 off, but I've done every single routine there was. I tried training body parts twice a week. I've tried 5 days straight. I've tried 3 days on, 1 day off, 2 days on, 1 day off, depending on what body parts I was training harder. What I like to always do, though, is take a day off after back and a day off after legs. So I kind of group those body parts so they fall with a day after off, because those are my hardest body parts to train. I feel that probably anyone that trains for bodybuilding or trying to get at certain levels, they're going to train those body parts a lot harder.
Now, I'm shocked you could get these sets in with a minute rest, because I consider myself one of the fittest bodybuilders out there. I used to do competitive triathlon, so I'm fit. And I've tried that 1 minute timer and have to do another set, and I'm done. The weight has to drop 20% and then another 20%. So did you find that you had to lower the weight so that you were lifting lighter weights, or were you just physically born to be able to recover that well?
I was just a machine, bro. And anyone that trained with me back from 2003 to 2011, there were very few people that could keep up with the pace. And that was the difference where, we used to have these message boards, and I don't know if you were in bodybuilding when all this is kind of before social media. And
I started competing in 94. So okay, I've been a bodybuilder forever. Just never turned pro till I was old, 35 when I turned pro. So
you saw, like, people would say, Ronnie trained so much heavier than Jay. And, everyone thought that was like the go-to was Ronnie Coleman squatted 800 and whatever. So, but the speed is what destroyed people. Like, Ronnie trained a lot slower than me. We trained a lot together, and we would do, on the road and doing guest appearances, but my speed is really what made the difference. And I claim that helped with my intensity. It helped with my cardiovascular, meaning I could stay leaner without doing a lot of cardio. I did no cardio in the off season, to be honest, none, zero. I would just train, like I said, twice a day, even in the off season. And that kept me relatively lean. Listen, with a great diet too. Don't get me wrong. I still had more sugars and carbohydrates and less of a schedule. I would miss meals here and there because of my travel schedule, but the training was just super intense that way. And I believe that those kind of rest periods, they keep you from wandering too much. I think too many people are on their phone nowadays and social media. And I didn't bring a phone in the gym. Like, no phones were allowed. If you trained with me, there was no phones allowed. And we didn't even have images like on phones then. We didn't have pictures or social media. So it was more just phone calls. If a phone rang in the gym, it would drive me crazy. So I told everyone, like, if you're going to train with me, no phones. I will not spot you. And, you have to train with the same weight. I'm not going to change your weight. So if you're going to hang with me, you have to work around it. And that's kind of how I was very selfish when it came to my training, if that makes sense.
Well, you have to be. And to be honest, I train completely opposite from you. So I've been a power lifter trying to set world records, bench press and stuff. So I would rest like 5-6 minutes between sets often. Mm-hmm. And I would live on my phone because I'm bored. I got to sit around for 5 minutes waiting to rest so that I can be that maximum ATP recovery. Mm-hmm. And so I would rest so long. So if I were to train with you, I'd be like, okay, you do 3 sets and then I'll do 1. You do 3 sets and I'll do 1. And that's just how I would have had to do it. There's no way I could go. So you were still, I watched you bench 405 for 12 on an incline bench one day. So that's ridiculous power. That's super strong. And so you could do that and then rest a minute and then kind of still get like even 8 to 10 on that second set in that 8 to 12 range.
It's crazy, man. My strength would increase as I would go. It was wild. And I don't really, like I told you, I ate a lot of food. And I just got accustomed to it. I mean, that's just the way I was kind of brought up. And I think, like you said, hey, I came up as a power lifter. That's the polar opposite of being a bodybuilder, right? I mean, you're going for 1 rep max, 2 reps, whatever it is, very low repetitions. Whereas, I was always, if I couldn't do it 8 times, I didn't touch it. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. And I quickly got out of trying to lift those really heavy weights. So when I trained, I would take a heavy weight, like 500 pounds on a deadlift and do 20 reps with it or something. Like I would do more higher reps with those heavy weights. And I think what must have happened is a principle of specificity. Like you just got used to training that way with that short rest and your body adapted to that. Mm-hmm. It's just like when I'm racing on the bike, I'll do a sprint for a minute and I'm killing it. I can pretty much beat anyone in a minute sprint. Then we'll ride again. Or keep riding after that. 2 minutes later, if they said do it again, I'm like, what do you mean again? I'm done for the day. But the other riders who are a little bit slower than me up that minute, They're like, I can do this for 10 times. What's wrong with you? So I have like that one burst of power that I can give for that one day versus you. I think if you were a cyclist, you'd be that other guy that maybe I beat you in the first minute, but the second and third one, you're just like, you're not keeping up no more. I think that that's what would happen. Just that's how you train for so long.
Yeah. I mean, becomes accustomed to it. I mean, I used to look at myself like a thoroughbred, man. I just, people would come train with me and I felt like I had that edge over everyone with my training style. And remember, I was training in Vegas. I mean, we had air conditioning gyms, but the gyms were hot. I mean, I would do a lot of lunging outside and I would try to mimic a lot. I'm not going to lie. I would, look at what Ronnie Coleman was doing in Texas, and there wasn't anyone more hardcore than him at the time. And this was only with DVDs, Greg. This wasn't social media. So you watched all this stuff, right? So we watched Ronnie train and everyone tried to be Ronnie Coleman. And even someone that, was losing to him, I used to question, okay, am I not doing enough comparable to Ronnie? And that's how I always trained hard. And, I believe that was part of the success of what I had.